Hello viewers, welcome to Marex Maritime News special feature on ship manning, in which we are going to discuss certain key elements that are very critical at this moment and critical for the future of Indian seafaring. For to help us understand this situation and get a collective perspective on what the industry is thinking, we have with us Captain Sankalp Shukla, who is Vice Chairman of FOSMA. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Captain Shukla, I'd like to jump straight into it and ask you, what is the real situation with Indian seafarers being replaced by other nationalities, considering that our people are not able to get onto ships in a very efficient manner and in a very timely manner, I should say. So is it real that Indian seafarers are being replaced?
See, sir, the review that I have from my member lines in FOSMA is that when the lockdown suddenly came down and the movement of people in and out of India was completely stopped, there were quite a few ships that had to be taken over in China and other countries as well. Now, with the inflexibility of sending Indians on board the ship, there was no choice but to replace Indians with other nationalities, mostly Chinese, because the restrictions in China by that time were already removed, and Chinese seafarers then joined ships for the takeovers. So yes, to a certain extent, that is true that we did suffer certain job losses because of the lockdown. But saying that, I also need to bring your attention to the fact that recently you must have known that charter flights started and Indian seafarers were flying to Korea for taking over ships. So that is the positive out of it. I mean, yes, there was a negative aspect, but I think that has to a certain extent been mitigated by the charter flight starting.
Great. So would you say that these replacements by other nationalities are of a temporary nature?
I would expect them to be of a temporary nature because the Indian seafarers were actually planned for those ships for takeover. Given no choice, there were alternate nationalities that were put. But going forward, I'm sure when the relief plan comes in, it will be Indian nationals who will be replacing this nationality.
Very good. That's excellent news, because there was a fear that this might become a permanent thing. So that naturally was going to lead to a situation for Indian seafarers. But it's good to know this is only temporary. Thank you, Captain Shukla. The next step is now, definitely there has been some pressure on Indian jobs in one way or another. Now, when we come out of this lockdown, and I hear the flights are going to resume, international flights are going to resume on a regular basis very soon. That's great news. But when we do come out of it, are we looking at putting together some special effort to increase the jobs for Indian seafarers?
In fact, it is great hearing that international flights are going to resume, because we've been working day and night for the charter flights. But we have already sent a message across to the industry with the charter flights starting that Indian seafarers are available. There are still a lot of restrictions on other nationalities when it comes to traveling and joining ships and things like that. So that is a positive for us. The shipping community now knows that India is a place that they can look at actually sourcing crew for their ships. In fact, there have been certain cases where there have been other nationalities that have been unable to actually send out their crew, and Indian seafarers have stood up to the occasion, taken chartered flights and joined.
Great.
So it is already work in progress. Yes, regular international flights would make it that much easier because of the restrictions of the number of seats that we have on the charter flights.
So overall, am I okay to say that there has been no real dent in the reputation of Indian seafarers on account of the severe restrictions imposed by the government on international flights?
See, a dent was made when the lockdown took place, and we did lose a certain number of jobs because there were takeovers in place. Now, saying that, we have slowly started, like I said, there are restrictions because of the number of seats on chartered flights, schedule of ships, schedule of the flights, connecting flights from the charter flights. I mean, it's no longer that easy doing a crew change. In fact, each crew change now takes nearly 3-4 times the time that it used to take earlier. The amount of paperwork that is involved is a lot. The procedures are long drawn. So yeah, there are still difficulties, but at least we are moving ahead. So I mean, while I cannot deny that there has been a dent, yes, there has been a dent, but moving forward, I think we will be able to recover from it.
Okay, that's I think very positive for the industry. And Captain Shukla, what do you think are the factors that will now take the Indian seafarer successfully into the next decade?
See, the factors that the Indian seafarers need to realize is that number one is that we are competing with East European nationalities. We are now competing with East Asian nationalities. Firstly, what we need to see is a wage parity between all nationalities. That is something that the Indian seafarers, especially the senior staff, need to understand. The other thing of, the typical mentality of an Indian seafarer is not to stick to his commitment about his date of availability. So that is another aspect that owners want to see a change with the Indian seafarers. If they commit to a certain date of joining the ship, they expect that the person actually joins the ship, which is the case with the other nationality. So taking Indian seafarers forward, especially now when we have a surplus of junior officers, which will translate in the coming years to senior officers, we need to understand that we need to be professional, we need to live up to our commitments, and we need to make sure that our wages are in parity to other nationalities. That is the way forward for Indian seafarers. Professionally, they are excellent. There is no question about it. Given a choice, an owner would always prefer Indian seafarers, but the only hindering factors are these two factors: wage parity and commitment to what you've actually said.
Recently we have seen that the shipping ministry and our shipping minister, Mr. Mansukh Bhai Mandviya, he has himself been very forthcoming and very enthusiastic about the ship manning industry, and has been giving us a very good listening as to how we can bring the seafarer, the Indian seafarer, into the industry in a much stronger manner. So, do you see a possibility that in future the industry collaborates with the shipping ministry to promote the Indian seafarer globally?
Well, all I can say, sir, over here is that I highly appreciate the work that has been done by the Honorable Shipping Minister, the Director General of Shipping's office, especially during this difficult time where we had a complete lockdown. We first worked towards SOPs of actually getting Indian seafarers off ships in India. The DG Shipping and the Shipping Minister worked 24/7 along with the shipping associations to make that happen. That happened. Then we started working on the charter flights. Again, if it wasn't for the support of the Shipping Ministry and the Director General of Shipping, this wouldn't have ever happened. And charter flights are now the norm of the day. You're having charter flights going out literally on daily basis, if not twice a day. So a lot has been achieved because of the kind of support that the shipping minister as well as the director general of shipping has given the industry. Going ahead, looking at the kind of support we've received in the recent past, yes, there is a very strong support and from the ministry that the jobs with Indian seafarers should increase. And the way we've been going ahead during this difficult time, we continue doing so in the future, the jobs will obviously increase. The flexibility of having Indian seafarers now is there. Earlier, when we were talking about Indians losing jobs to other nationalities because of the lockdown, now we have the trump card with us. We can now replace other nationalities where there are issues of actually travel, and Indian seafarers can join there. So the job market will open up for Indians considering the flexibility that has been offered.
Great. Now, Captain Shukla, do you see the shipping ministry actually standing up and going and when the shipping minister is visiting other countries, going and pushing in the what do you call the Indian seafaring industry as a very viable and useful manpower source. So because in the past what has happened is that it's only the industry that goes and does anything. The ministry has really been taking a back seat. But do you see this changing in the future?
Yes, we in fact started seeing a change when we had Mr. Gadkari as the minister. He went down to Korea, and there were bilateral agreements that were signed in Korea, and they were promoting Indian seafarers to the Korean ship owning industry. Going ahead, I do see even our current shipping minister doing the same thing as things ease up. Yes, one of the things in his agenda is to promote the manning industry in India, and he's been very forthcoming about it. So we will see delegations going to various countries and having MOUs signed regarding accepting Indian seafarers on their flag of vessels and under their ownership.
Great. So the last question now, this is directly related to FOSMA. The FOSMA training institutes have been doing an excellent job in the past. Do you think that they are now geared for the future where everything is going to be online and the institutes are not going to be doing as much offline work as they were doing? So how's FMERO, I should say, which is the training part of FOSMA, gearing up for the online future?
Well, Kamal sir, I'm happy that you asked me this question because we thought about this some time back, and I'm happy to say that that both the FOSMA institutes, whether it be Calcutta and New Delhi, are already doing online classes for their students, and the batches are going full. In fact, we saw the need of online training quite some time back. That is why we worked with our knowledge partners, ISF, and we now have a learning management system that is being put in place in both the institutes, where it will be complete online classes, record keeping, certification, everything online. And that is already work in progress, and it should be up and running anytime soon. So FOSMA has been thinking about this ever since the lockdown started, and we decided that everything needs to be online. So FOSMA is already there.
Thank you so much, Captain Shukla. And viewers, this has been a special feature from Marex Maritime News. Thank you.